Ladies and gentlemen, sons and daughters of the Most High, now is not the time to be silent. Now is not the time to be confused. This is the time to know who you are. Because in these last days, identity is under attack. But God has given us a blueprint, a divine fingerprint in Revelation 14. And it reveals the character, the courage, and the calling of His remnant people. This isn't about religion, this is about revelation. This is about recognition. This is about a people who have not bowed to the beast, a people who stand while others fall, a people who hear the voice of the Lamb, though the world is screaming in confusion. When John saw the 4,000 standing on Mount Zion, he wasn't just looking at a future scene, he was looking at a people who'd been through the fire, but didn't lose their faith. They stood because they knew whose they were. They kept the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus. In a world that keeps compromising, the remnant remains committed. You were never called to fit in. You were called to stand out. You were never chosen to blend with Babylon. You were chosen to walk out of it. You were never created to follow the beast. You were born to follow the Lamb wherever he goes. And I know what you're thinking. It's hard. Yes, it is. It's hard to walk against the current of culture. It's hard to stand alone when everyone is sitting, but the remnant has a different DNA. It's written in their forehead, it's written in their walk, it's written in their worship. This remnant will not be defined by denomination, tradition, or public opinion. No, they will be defined by their obedience to God and their unshakable faith in Jesus. In the face of persecution they praise, in the midst of deception they discern, and while the world is drinking the wine of Babylon, they are drinking from the fountain of truth. This is not a time to sleep. This is the hour to awake and arise, because you are not ordinary. You are part of a prophecy. You are part of a mission. You are part of the Revelation 14 remnant, sealed and sanctified. So don't you dare walk away. Don't you dare shrink back, because heaven is watching. The angels are standing. The Lamb is waiting, and the time is now. The Lamb leads, and the remnant follows. In Revelation 14, we are given a picture of the redeemed, the 4,000 standing with the Lamb on Mount Zion. It says they follow the Lamb wherever he goes. That one phrase reveals the entire heart of the remnant identity. They are not led by trends, feelings, or religious institutions. They are led by the Lamb, and not just occasionally or when it's convenient, but wherever he goes. In this final hour, heaven is looking for people who don't need to understand every step, because they trust the one who is leading. The remnant don't need the whole map. They just need the voice of the shepherd. To follow the Lamb is to surrender the reins. It's to lay down your own plans, your own path, your own pride, and say, "Lead me, Lord." The Lamb is not just a symbol of sacrifice. He is a symbol of leadership. He went through the valley of death. He took the blows of sin. He bore the weight of the world. And now he walks before his people as the captain of their salvation. Those who follow him are not following comfort. They're following a cross. They know it might cost them friends, status, or security, but it's worth it because they know who's walking ahead of them. The remnant are not moved by fear, they are moved by faith. While the world runs to the beast system for safety and compromise, the remnant run to the Lamb for strength and direction. They don't follow the Lamb in name only. They follow him in lifestyle. They reflect his purity, his humility, and his obedience. They know his voice, and when he calls, they don't debate, they don't delay. They move. To follow the Lamb wherever he goes is to say yes to God's ways when the world says no. It's to walk in righteousness when unrighteousness is rewarded. It's to keep the Sabbath when Sunday is legislated. It's to stand for truth when truth is canceled. It's to be in the minority and still be unmoved, because the Lamb never promised ease, but he promised eternity. The path he walks leads through tribulation, but it ends in triumph. The Lamb walks through the fire, and those who follow him come out not even smelling like smoke. The remnant understand that following the Lamb may mean rejection by the world, but it means recognition in heaven. When you follow the Lamb, your steps are not wasted. Every tear is recorded. Every battle is remembered. Every sacrifice is seen. The Lamb leads not just to Mount Zion, but to victory, to glory, to the Father himself. Even when the Lamb walks into dark places, when he leads through loss, pain, or persecution, the remnant don't turn back, because they remember that the same Lamb who was slain now stands risen. He conquered sin, he defeated death, and he calls his people to walk in that same victory. The Lamb is not stationary, he is moving, he is marching, he is gathering his final army. And the remnant are not those who once followed, but those who keep following. This is not a passive identity, it's an active pursuit. The remnant don't wait for permission. They move with conviction. They don't need the approval of man because they already have the calling of God. They don't need signs in the sky because they have truth in their heart. They follow the Lamb through the noise, through the lies, through the last great deception. They follow him into the most holy place, into the final sealing, into the wedding feast. This is the remnant. This is their mark. Not just what they believe, but who they follow. And in the end, the only ones standing will be those who refuse to follow the beast, because they had already decided to follow the Lamb. Marked by the name, not the number. In Revelation 14, the distinction between the saved and the lost is made crystal clear. Not by denomination, not by ethnicity, not by popularity, but by the mark they carry. While the world is running to receive the mark of the beast for acceptance, survival, and convenience, the remnant stand apart because they are marked by something entirely different. They are not marked by fear, not marked by compromise, not marked by the number of the beast. They are marked by the name of their God, written in their foreheads. This is more than just a symbol. The forehead in biblical language represents the mind, the seat of decision, loyalty, and conviction. This means the remnant have made a conscious, unwavering decision to belong to God, no matter the cost. While others take the mark of the beast in their hand or forehead, signifying their actions and thoughts are surrendered to the system, the remnant are sealed with the Father's name, signifying ownership, allegiance, and character transformation. To be marked by the name is to reflect the very nature of God. His name is holy, and those who bear it live holy lives, not in their own strength, but through the power of the Lamb they follow. These people are not part-time believers. They don't claim Christ on the outside and live like Babylon on the inside. The name is not just printed, it's engraved in their identity. They don't just worship on the right day, they live for the right king. While the world is being conditioned to worship an image, receive a counterfeit law, and align with an apostate power, the remnant are being prepared to stand in the day of testing. The mark of the beast is not just about a chip or a barcode. It's about worship and loyalty. It's about whose law you obey, whose day you keep, whose voice you follow. And the remnant have already made their choice. They are sealed by the Spirit of God and walk in obedience because they love the one whose name they carry. God is not sealing people who are half-hearted. He is sealing those who are fully His, those who have come out of Babylon with a clean break, those who will not be bought by the comforts of the system or silenced by the fear of man. These are those who stand when the decree goes out. These are those who sing when the fire gets hot. These are those who don't just avoid the mark, they carry the name. The name in the forehead means their thoughts have been transformed. Their minds are no longer conformed to this world. They've been renewed. The commandments are not just laws on stone, they're written on the heart. These are people whose convictions run deeper than culture. They don't compromise truth for peace. They don't bend to pressure to fit in. They are not swayed by what's trending. They are anchored in what's eternal. And let's be clear, this mark of the name doesn't come by accident. It comes by intimacy. It comes through relationship. You don't receive this seal by joining a church. You receive it by following the Lamb, dying to self, and allowing the Spirit to write God's truth into your life. These are not just informed believers, they are transformed disciples. Their loyalty is not up for debate. Their faith is not for sale. In the final crisis, when every soul must choose between the mark of the beast and the seal of God, the line will be drawn, not in sand but in spirit, and only those marked by the name will stand, not because they were stronger, but because they surrendered, not because they were perfect, but because they were faithful, and heaven will know them, not by the number on their head, but by the name that's written in their minds and lived out in their lives. Pure worship in a polluted world. In a world flooded with counterfeit religion, diluted truth, and self-centered spirituality, the remnant rises with a different song, a pure worship that stands undefiled amid the noise. Revelation 14 describes a people who sing a song no one else can learn, a song of redemption, of loyalty, of purity. Their worship is not stained by popularity, not driven by emotional hype, not twisted by tradition. It is pure because it flows from lives that have been washed clean by the blood of the Lamb. In a polluted world, this worship shines like gold refined in fire. Pure worship is not about having the best instruments or the largest platform. It's not about entertainment or performance. It's not about hype, lights, or sound systems. Pure worship comes from a heart that has been set apart. It comes from a people who refuse to blend with Babylon. It comes from those who have made the conscious decision to worship God on His terms, not theirs. These are they who were not defiled, meaning their worship was not mixed with compromise or spiritual adultery. They have stayed faithful in a generation that bows to every golden image. The remnant does not worship for what they can get. They worship because of who God is. In a time when worship has become a transaction, sing to be blessed, give to get, praise to receive, the remnant worship with no strings attached. Their worship isn't based on mood, but on truth. They don't need a crowd to lift their hands. They don't need a choir to lift their voice, because their worship isn't a reaction to circumstances. It's a response to the character of God. The purity of their worship is rooted in their obedience. You cannot truly worship a God you refuse to obey. The remnant live lives of holiness, not as a burden, but as a form of worship. They keep the commandments, not to earn favor, but to express love. They honor the Sabbath, not as a ritual, but as a declaration. We belong to the Creator. While the world runs after false worship on a false day, they choose to remember the day God set apart, because their worship is defined by truth, not tradition. Their song cannot be mimicked, because it was birthed in suffering. They've been through the test. They've been through the fire. They've had to stand alone, misunderstood, ridiculed, even persecuted. And through it all, they kept their song. That's why no one else can learn it. It wasn't taught by men, it was taught by experience. The melody was formed in midnight prayer. The lyrics were written in moments of tears. The harmony was composed when they said no to the beast and yes to the cross. This is the power of pure worship. It transforms, it separates, it sanctifies. When the remnant lift their voices, heaven responds, because it's not just their lips praising, it's their lives. They worship in spirit and in truth. That's what the Father is seeking. Not noise, not fame, not rituals, but true worshipers. In the end-time crisis, worship will be the dividing line. It won't be about the style of music. It will be about the object of worship. Who will you obey? Who will you trust? Who will you follow? The world may try to drown out their voices with confusion, with seduction, with persecution, but the remnant's song will rise above it all, because their worship is rooted in eternity. It is a preview of what will echo in heaven forever. And as the smoke of Babylon rises, the song of the remnant gets louder. It declares, "Worthy is the Lamb." It declares, "Holy is our God." It declares, "We will not bow, we will not bend, we will not break." Pure worship in a polluted world is not just a sound, it's a stand. And the remnant will stand until the very end. No lie found in their mouth. In Revelation 14, a powerful description is given of God's end-time remnant. In their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. That is not just a poetic phrase. It is a prophetic testimony. These are not perfect people by human standards, but they are pure in truth. In a world saturated with deception, manipulation, and religious half-truths, the remnant are known not just for what they believe, but for what they say. Their mouths do not serve two masters. There is no lie found in them, not because they are better, but because they are surrendered. Truth is not optional in the last days. It is essential. While the dragon uses lies to deceive the nations, the remnant use truth to glorify God. They don't twist scripture to suit their lifestyle. They don't water down the gospel to fit the culture. They don't flatter, manipulate, or hide behind religious slogans. They speak what God says, when He says it, how He says it. Their tongues have been sanctified by fire. Their mouths have become instruments of righteousness. No guile means no deceit, no trickery, no false doctrine, dressed in holy language. The remnant don't say one thing and live another. Their speech is not polished for performance. It is purified by the Spirit. While the beast system builds its empire on lies, the remnant build their lives on truth. They are not afraid to call sin what it is. They are not ashamed to declare the commandments of God. They are not silent when others are compromised. Their words cut, not because they're cruel, but because they're true. In the days of Noah, truth was rare, and deception was the norm. So it is in our day. But Noah preached truth, even if the crowd laughed, even if the world rejected it. The remnant carry that same boldness. They would rather be hated for truth than loved for lies. They are not diplomats. They are watchmen. They don't entertain itching ears. They sound the alarm. They don't speak to gain followers. They speak to glorify the Father. This purity of speech is a reflection of their heart. Jesus said, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." So if there's no lie in their mouth, it means there's no compromise in their heart. These are not lukewarm believers. These are not Sunday-only saints. These are those who have been tested and tried. And when they open their mouths, heaven recognizes the sound, because it echoes the voice of the Lamb. It's not just about doctrine. It's about integrity. The remnant don't just speak truth in church. They speak truth at home, in the workplace, in private. Their yes means yes, and their no means no. They don't gossip. They don't flatter. They don't manipulate to get ahead. They know that in the judgment, every idle word will be brought into account. So they speak with holy fear, with spirit-filled fire, and with heaven-born authority. When deception becomes law and silence becomes safety, speaking truth becomes an act of war. But the remnant are not afraid. They've already died to self. They've already let go of comfort. They've already chosen the narrow path. So whether it's the truth about sin, the Sabbath, the second coming, or the system of the beast, they will not be silent, because their loyalty is not to man, it is to God. The final battle is not just about actions, it is about allegiance. And allegiance is revealed in the mouth. When the mark of the beast is enforced, and the world bows to lies, the remnant will rise with a message that cannot be silenced. They will speak the everlasting gospel, unfiltered and unashamed. And when heaven looks down, it will not see flawless humans, it will see faithful witnesses. No lie found, no compromise spoken, just truth lived, loved, and proclaimed until the end. Called out of Babylon, standing on Mount Zion, the remnant of Revelation 14 are not just survivors, they are overcomers. They are not hidden in the shadows of religious confusion or political compromise. They are standing boldly on Mount Zion with the Lamb. But before they stood there, they had to be called out of Babylon, called out of the lies, out of the corruption, out of the system that has intoxicated the nations. They heard the call and they responded. While others stayed in the comfort of confusion, the remnant walked away, even when it cost them everything. Babylon in the Bible represents more than just a city. It represents a system, a religious, political, and spiritual deception that claims to honor God while actually standing in rebellion against Him. It mixes truth with error, grace with lawlessness, and worship with idolatry. Babylon offers a counterfeit salvation, a false peace, and a fake gospel. It tells people they can serve God without obedience. It tells them they can be saved without surrender. But the remnant see through the deception. They are not hypnotized by the wine. They are not seduced by the woman. They are not impressed by the beast. They have been called out. God never leaves his people in confusion. That's why the second angel of Revelation 14 cries with urgency, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. It's not just a statement, it's a warning. Babylon is corrupt, and its fall is certain. And before the final judgments are poured out, God sends a final call. Come out of her, my people. The remnant heard that call, and they obeyed. They didn't wait until it was popular. They didn't wait for church leaders to agree. They didn't wait for the majority to move. They left when God said leave. Coming out of Babylon means leaving behind false teachings, man-made traditions, and compromised Christianity. It means leaving behind every system that exalts man over God, Sunday over Sabbath, and human authority over divine truth. The remnant don't argue with the word. They align with it. They don't dilute the message. They declare it. They are not ashamed to be different, because they know Babylon cannot be reformed. It must be left behind. But it doesn't end with just leaving. God doesn't call his people out just to wander. He calls them out to bring them in, out of Babylon and onto Mount Zion. Mount Zion is not just a location. It's a symbol of victory, of covenant, of divine presence. It represents the dwelling place of God with his faithful one. The remnant are not lost in the wilderness. They are standing with the Lamb, victorious and sealed. To stand on Mount Zion is to stand in the truth when the world drowns in lies. It's to stand in righteousness when wickedness is legalized. It's to stand in the presence of the Lamb, unashamed and unafraid. These are those who followed him wherever he went, through the rejection, through the trials, through the fire, and now they stand because they would not bow. Mount Zion is the reward for those who chose separation over compromise. It's where heaven gathers its warriors, its faithful, its chosen. It's not for the crowd, it's for the committed. You don't get there by blending in with Babylon. You get there by coming out and holding on, by choosing obedience over comfort, by loving the truth more than life itself. The remnant are a testimony to the power of God to deliver, to preserve, and to establish. They were once scattered in Babylon, but now they are gathered on Zion. They were once confused, but now they sing with clarity. They were once hidden, but now they stand in the open with the Lamb, called out, called up, and called faithful. That is the destiny of the remnant, who answer the call.